Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, Malo, on football. So here we go. Today, one of the topics I want to talk about is the potential Neymar deal. I've made a lot of videos on Kylian Mbappe and what I think in terms of his potential transfer and move. We know it's still up in the air, but Neymar for me is still he's in that same bracket of players who are a little bit of a throw of the dice, if I might call it. I think Neymar, for me, a couple of years ago, definitely would have been one of the players who a lot of teams would have wanted. I think when he left Barcelona, he was maybe at the peak of his game. Obviously, shadowing Messi, obviously, in that amazing Barcelona team. But I think he left, for me, in my opinion, for the wrong reasons to go to PSG in the first place. You're playing alongside Messi, you're playing the best football. Yes, you're still young, but a lot of people were saying that he was in the shadow of Messi and he didn't want to continue being in the shadow of Messi. But what is it about being in the shadow of Messi? Everyone who plays with him is in his shadow until he retires, and then you leave to PSG to be the star, the main guy. And for a while, potentially he scored a lot of goals, got all the headlines, made all the money. But you look at him now, what have they won? They haven't won anything. He was meant to be the poster boy to take the PSG philosophy, dream, project to the next level, but that hasn't materialized. And now he's coming out and his agent, who I think is his father, saying that he wants to leave the club. But like, here's a player who we saw him at the World Cup that was in Brazil, did not impress at all, was diving, fumbling all over the floor, just being a baby, really, if I'm to be honest. And then since then, he just, scored a couple of goals, brilliant player still, age is on his side. But is he still the player that maybe let me put it this way. Has Neymar reached the height that his name and the brand Neymar and the hype was intended to be? He hasn't won a World Cup. With PSG, he hasn't won a Champions League. What really now would a team be buying? Quite an injury prone, some would say problematic player at that as well. So you look at Neymar and his potential clubs where he could sign. I mean, Manchester United potentially. I know they've just signed Højlund. Man U trying to copy Haaland, but we'll see how that goes. You look at the potential. Chelsea maybe need a number 11, number 9, depending on what position Neymar would play. Arsenal maybe needing a right winger as backup to Saka, but I don't see Mbappe leaving to be a backup to anyone, and I don't think, personally, as a fan, I wouldn't want Neymar. I just feel he's too problematic. He's got too much of an ego. Yes, potentially he could get you 10, 15 goals a season, but just everything that would come with him would mess up the chemistry that Arsenal have at the moment. So for me, back to Barcelona looks like a potential move. Do they have the finances and the funds to put a deal like this together? I don't know. Does Xavi want a player like him? They've obviously got Rafinha, the other Brazilian who also plays well. Rafinha plays on the right. Neymar could play on the left. Is that the type of player at this current moment they want? Did he leave on good terms so that he could come back? So yeah, man, a lot of speculation regarding Neymar and him wanting to leave PSG. And I mean, would PSG let Mbappe and Neymar go in the same window? I don't think so, because both players are unhappy at the club. So what does that tell you about the PSG project? Is that what they intended with this team, to build a super team, to conquer, to dominate, to rule world football, is just not happening at this present moment. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this particular transfer and this particular signing. If he does leave, if he stays, how does that affect him personally and his ambitions from a club point of view? I don't think the Premier League is suited to him in terms of style of play, the aggression, the pace. Barcelona potentially, Italy maybe, but obviously it's up to the player to see what he ultimately wants to do. So it's going to be very interesting with this particular transfer and everything that's going on with Neymar in this particular transfer. But moving on to from a local point of view, we know obviously there is a local game that is Mamelodi Sundowns versus Kaizer Chiefs. It's been quite a couple of years since we've seen anything other than a win for Kaizer Chiefs or for Mamelodi Sundowns in this particular fixture. So for me, this fixture was one that previously was a good fixture on paper. You look at Kaizer Chiefs historically winning, it was your Rothmans Cup and the like, those competitions recently of late, just not being able, Kaizer Chiefs, to get over Mamelodi Sundowns. And you look at where the two teams are now, and I keep going back to this, the spending power, and I just feel that Kaizer Chiefs have not, or continue to season in, season out, not properly invest in their squad. They're always buying players, B-grade players from Zimbabwe, from the PSL in the lower ranks and the smaller teams, and just not being able to challenge adequately. It's a financial business. It's a financial game, at the end of the day. And Kaizer Chiefs have maybe enjoyed many years of success being at the top, but now not being able to compete with Dr. Motsepe and the riches and the finances that he brings to Mamelodi Sundowns. So, yeah, man, I think for me, regardless of the result tomorrow and what happens in this particular game, Sundowns they're just drilled differently, financially, coaching-wise. I was listening to the overlap with Gary Neville and the boys on that particular show, and Jamie Carragher, when they were talking about coaches being able to make 3-4 tactical changes within one game. That is high-level thinking. They were talking about Unai Emery at Aston Villa, and that in some games he makes 3-4 formation tactical changes in one game. I know potentially Rulani does that, but football is evolving. It's no longer the days of 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, once off, and you see how it goes and you make substitutions. In-game management is something that is a big talking point in Europe, and it's constantly happening and developing. So I don't know at what level or Molifin Tiki, the Pirates coaches, the Supersport, Kevin Hunt and the like, yes, they've got their licenses and badges and all of that, but I think what Sundowns are doing, they're just elevating the game to another level. And I just don't see any PSL club being able to do anything to compete with that. But yeah, man, let's see what happens in that particular fixture, Kaizer Chiefs versus Mamelodi Sundowns. And yeah, man, like I said, let's see what happens with Neymar in his transfer, and where will he go, and where will Kylian Mbappe go. Malo on football, we out.